Are you sitting comfortably, children? Good, then I'll begin. So this is the start of the book, chapter 1, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I am standing in front of the mirror staring at my reflection. I am in total awe of myself. The kind of awe preceded by shock. The sort of shock and awe that journalists talked about at great lengths when describing both Gulf Wars. I am beginning to think that my sleek sheath-style dress was a terrible mistake. I have literally had to squeeze myself into it, and I look more like a sweaty bratwurst than a blushing bride. The last 6 weeks have been so stressful that I have lived off of junk food and booze, and as a result, I've gained nearly a dress size. The fabric of the wedding gown is now rucking across my hips and stomach, and I don't so much have a cleavage as a boob spill on the scale of a major environmental disaster. I heard the stitches cracking as I pulled the zipper up, and I know that if I sit down, it's all over. My quaking, spreading flesh will create an irreparable San Andreas fault. I look at a photo of Rob and I on the mantelpiece. He is so handsome. He could have been a model if he wasn't 5'9". His dark curly hair is flopping over his piercing blue eyes, and his jaw is surly and sexy. He hates to smile in photographs. He thinks it's crass. I am draped around his neck, a huge pair of Jackie O sunglasses perched on my nose. Not so much an attempt to look cool, but more to hide as much of my face as possible. Rob says how funny it is that as an actress, I'm so camera shy. He doesn't understand that the only reason I like playing other people is because it gives me a break from being me. I am convinced that I won't be able to sleep unless I anaesthetise myself from the stress with a little more alcohol. So I nip out for a cheap bottle of plonk. I throw a bathrobe over my dress and take the 2-minute walk, or rather waddle, to our nearest convenience store. I grab a bottle of white wine, not even bothering to read the label, and take it to the counter. Mr. Singh, the owner of the shop, who never seems to take a day or night off, is by now accustomed to my odd hours and weird habits, but my bizarre apparition confuses even him. Going to a fancy dress party? He asked jovially. No, I say without any trace of humour. It's my wedding dress. I'm getting married in the morning. Mr. Singh looks unsure and is perhaps wondering if I'm playing some kind of practical joke or researching a role, or if I finally had a nervous breakdown. After a few moments, his face breaks into a smile. Congratulations, he booms. I had no idea. When's the big day? Tomorrow, I reiterate dismally. So is this some kind of a bridal tradition I've not heard of? Aren't you supposed to wear dealy boppers and an L plate on your hen night? I'm pretty sure that he knows as well as I do that running around like Miss Havisham the night before one's wedding is completely abnormal. I realise he's making a joke, so I laugh, but the sound comes out flat and forced. Who's the lucky fellow? Mr. Singh asks. Rob, I say, trying to smile. Mr. Singh draws a blank. Who? Rob and I have been coming into this shop together since I moved into his flat 6 months after we met. The man you often see me with, I qualify. Mr. Singh's eyes grow wide with surprise. Oh, it all makes sense now. I thought he was your brother. I wonder what kind of image Rob and I must project for Mr. Singh to assume that we are siblings. Love's young dream, we are clearly not. Wait a minute, Mr. Singh says as I go to leave. I've got something for you. He disappears into the back and returns moments later with a tiny blue porcelain elephant. His kindness catches me off guard and I get a lump in my throat. Is this some kind of Sikh bridal tradition? I ask, hoping that it's a good omen. No, he laughs. Just some stock we couldn't get rid of from years ago. I told Hardeep that homewares would never sell. Hardeep is Mr. Singh's son. He drives what looks like a rally car with the windows down and the banger cranked up. I thank Mr. Singh and put the tiny elephant in the pocket of my bathrobe. Elephant's a very loyal cat, adds Mr. Singh. I grasp this cool, smooth china tightly in my hot, sweaty fist, and I hope and I pray that Rob is my elephant.